Thank you very much, everyone. I'm honoured to be here and look forward very much to tomorrow evening whenever the award will be presented. But I thought this morning or this afternoon, maybe the best thing to do is just give you a little bit of an insight into myself and my role and the kind of work I do, which I think does indeed, as Liam said, overlap with the goals and the ideals and the aims of your own esteemed organisation. I'm thinking, of course, of things like friendship, building friendship, promoting unity, witnessing to Christian charity, and indeed doing our very best to achieve peace and reconciliation in our own beloved Ireland. I come from Derry. My name is Eamon Martin. It's Eamon Columba Martin, which is a big thing in Derry. You're often named after Columkill, patron saint, of course, of the city. And I grew up there. I was born in 1961. Quick calculation means I'm nearly 65. And my parents, Katie and JJ, they were both born in Donegal, in Inishowen, which is the peninsula right in the very north of Ireland, as you know. My grandparents, three of them were from County Donegal, two from Inishowen, one from West Donegal, a native Irish speaker. My grandmother, Hannah Boyce, was from a place called Lettermacawar, which is in the west coast of Donegal. My paternal grandfather was born in Maguire's Bridge in County Fermanagh. I had a very strong sense of my Irish identity growing up, as I'm sure many of you had, whether you're native to Ireland yourselves personally or Irish Americans here. I had a great sense of what it means to be Irish. My parents were very conscious that they wanted us to understand our heritage, our culture, our music, our sport, our language. And growing up in Derry, of course, it wasn't difficult to cement that sense of culture and identity. I grew up, of course, during the Troubles in Derry, so it wasn't always easy. One particular memory I have was in the day after Bloody Sunday, and actually the evening of Bloody Sunday, because my eldest brother and sister, Joseph and Mary, they had been to the march, and they were heading on up on the bus to Queen's University in Belfast afterwards. And in those days there were no mobile phones, it wasn't easy to make contact, so it took right through until the next morning for us to be sure they were okay. We were asked that week in school to gather up any newspapers that we had at home, particularly the Derry Journal, in order to bring them into school so that it could be sent to America and to other parts of the world to give people an accurate account of what had happened on the streets of Derry that day. And I was only, 11? I suppose I didn't really have a great understanding of what was happening. But I grew to understand that my Irish identity and my Irish culture was in many ways presented over and against other identities. And I suppose in my teenage years, I grew to have a greater sense of the Catholic, nationalist and Republican identity perspective over and against the Protestant, Unionist and Loyalist perspective. I suppose because Derry itself was almost, from my experience anyway, a totally Catholic, nationalist or Republican city, even though there were many Protestants, Unionists, Loyalists living either in the city or in the outskirts, my contact with people from across the community was pretty minimal. At least until my mid-teens, whenever I was involved in music. I was a brass player, and if you're involved in music, you get invited to play in all sorts of musical ensembles and bands and orchestras and whatever it is, jazz bands, Dixieland. And what I discovered was if you played the trombone, it didn't really matter whether you were a Catholic trombonist or a Protestant trombonist. They were always very happy to have you on the band. So I made some really good friends for the very first time from across the community, and we had really, really positive relationships, even though stuff going on around us was horrendous. I went to Maynooth after studying in St. Colum's College. It was a great school in Derry with many famous alumni. You probably know, like John Hume and Seamus Heaney and Brian Frail and Phil Coulter and countless others. So I was very proud of my school, my city, my family, my roots. Went to Maynooth to study for the priesthood, and thank you, AOH, for your support for our seminarians in St. Patrick's College, Maynooth at the moment. Much appreciated. After I was ordained, I went back to Derry. My first parish was St. Eugene's Cathedral Parish in Derry City, where once more I was immersed in the Catholic part of Derry. My sick room was in the Bogside. My area for visitation was the Bogside. And I was very proud of that. Got to know the people very, very well. But before long, our bishop, Bishop Edward Daly, you know him for the white handkerchief on Bloody Sunday, Bishop Edward asked me to go back to studies again, because he wanted me to go in and teach in my old school, St. Colum's. And that's indeed what I did. After a few years in parish work, I went in to teach mathematics. Sure you love that. Mathematics and religion in my old school. And during that period of time, once more I came in contact with people from across the community. Mostly through school meetings and meeting with teachers. Because as you know, the education system, particularly in the north of Ireland, is quite segregated. But for the first time I was meeting fellow teachers, professionals, principals, and in time in St. Colum's I